The evening rush had just begun at the Gilded Spoon, an upscale restaurant known for its marble floors, golden chandeliers, and soft jazz humming through the speakers. Emma, a 24-year-old waitress with tired eyes and a gentle smile, was already on her third double shift that week. Her worn-out shoes pinched her feet, and her back ached from hours of walking, but she didn't complain. Every table she served brought her one step closer to paying off her college loans and keeping her small apartment. Her dream was to finish her degree in hospitality management and one day run her own restaurant. For now, she was learning by surviving, smiling through exhaustion, enduring rude customers, and always saying thank you, even when it hurt. That night, as she polished glasses behind the counter, 3 men entered the restaurant, their laughter loud and self-satisfied. They looked like the kind of men who thought money made them untouchable. Sharp suits, expensive watches, and an air of arrogance that filled the room before they even sat down. They picked the best table near the window, snapping their fingers at the host and demanding immediate service. When Emma approached them, she greeted them politely, offering menus with a smile. The first man smirked and said, "You must be new here. Try not to drop anything, sweetheart." The second added, "Yeah, we wouldn't want you to ruin our $5,000 suits." They all laughed, and Emma forced a small smile, pretending not to hear the insult. She took their orders carefully, her hands steady even though her stomach was twisting inside. As the night went on, their behavior only worsened. They snapped their fingers for refills, made snide comments about her uniform, and whispered crude jokes loud enough for her to hear. At one point, when she accidentally spilled a single drop of water while refilling a glass, the third man sneered. "Guess they'll hire anyone these days. Maybe next time try a job that doesn't involve coordination." His friends burst into laughter. Emma's face flushed crimson, her throat tightening, but she simply apologized and quietly cleaned the table. The other diners noticed what was happening, but no one stepped in. Most looked down at their plates, uncomfortable but unwilling to get involved. Emma felt the sting of humiliation but kept working, repeating silently to herself that she needed this job. She couldn't afford to fight back or walk away. Still, something about that moment felt heavier than usual. Maybe it was the way the laughter echoed too long, or the fact that she saw a few people shake their heads in silent sympathy. She didn't know that above her, in a glass-walled office overlooking the restaurant, someone else had seen everything through a security feed. The cameras, installed to ensure guest satisfaction, had captured the cruel smirks, the spilled water, and her trembling hands. And while Emma tried to bury her humiliation under professionalism, a storm was already brewing in the heart of a man powerful enough to change her fate in a single decision. Upstairs, in a sleek corner office that overlooked the glittering city, billionaire CEO Nathan Cole sat behind his mahogany desk, sipping coffee as he reviewed the live surveillance feeds of his restaurant chain. It was something he often did late at night, an unannounced quality inspection, as he liked to call it. He wasn't a man who ran his empire from behind numbers alone. He believed the true pulse of a business was in the faces of the people who worked for it. Nathan was known for his quiet discipline, his calm authority, and the way his employees respected him not out of fear but admiration. As the owner of the Gilded Spoon franchise, he had built his reputation on one core value: every person deserved respect, whether they were serving or being served. But tonight, as he flipped through the camera feeds, something caught his attention. A table of 3 men near the window, laughing too loudly, and a waitress standing still, her shoulders slightly hunched, trying to keep her composure. Nathan frowned and adjusted the screen closer. He watched the scene play out silently, his sharp blue eyes narrowing as he noticed every detail, the arrogant gestures, the mocking smiles, and the way the young woman swallowed her pride with each insult. He had seen people like those men before, the kind who believed wealth made them untouchable, who thought kindness was weakness. And he despised them. As the CEO of a company that prided itself on dignity, he knew he couldn't stand by while his employee was being publicly humiliated in his own restaurant. He paused the footage for a moment, then resumed it, zooming in to see the men's faces clearly. Recognition hit him instantly. They weren't just random customers. They were investors he had met recently, men who had once boasted about how Money lets you own people. A cold anger simmered in Nathan's chest. He picked up his phone and called the restaurant manager, his voice calm but firm. "This is Nathan Cole," he said, his tone leaving no room for hesitation. "I want you to leave the table near the window as it is. Don't bring them the bill. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Without waiting for a reply, he ended the call, grabbed his keys, and headed toward the elevator. As the city lights blurred past his car windows, Nathan's thoughts raced, not out of fury, but conviction. He remembered starting out as a waiter himself years ago, saving every tip to pay rent and afford night classes. He knew what it was like to be spoken down to, treated like you were invisible. That memory fueled his every success, reminding him never to forget the value of the people who kept his empire alive. By the time he arrived at the restaurant, his presence commanded the air like a sudden change in weather. Staff members froze when they saw him walk in, tall and composed in his black suit. Conversations hushed, and even the arrogant laughter from the corner table died out. The three men looked up, confused, until realization dawned on their faces. The billionaire himself had come, and he was walking straight toward them. Nathan's footsteps were steady and deliberate as he crossed the dining area, the polished floor reflecting his calm yet commanding presence. Every diner in the Gilded Spoon turned to watch, sensing the tension that filled the room. Emma stood frozen beside the table, her heart pounding as she realized who had just entered. She had seen Nathan Cole's picture on the staff board, the man who built the restaurant chain from the ground up, known for his fairness and brilliance. Now he was standing right in front of her, tall, composed, and radiating quiet authority. Nathan's eyes softened when they met hers. He noticed the way her hands trembled slightly, the redness in her eyes from holding back tears. "Are you all right?" he asked in a calm, reassuring voice that carried across the silent room. Emma managed a small nod, her voice caught in her throat. "Yes, sir," she whispered. Then Nathan turned his attention to the three men seated at the table. His expression changed, his eyes turned cold, his posture sharpened like a blade. The men shifted uncomfortably under his gaze, recognizing instantly that the balance of power had shifted. "Gentlemen," Nathan began, his tone polite but cutting, "I believe you've mistaken this establishment for a place where disrespect is tolerated." One of them stammered, "Mr. Cole, we were just joking." "Nothing serious." But Nathan raised a hand, silencing him. "No," he said firmly, "it was serious. I saw everything. You came here to enjoy a meal and ended up humiliating someone who was simply doing her job. That's not a joke. That's arrogance." The restaurant was utterly silent except for the soft clink of a fork being set down somewhere in the distance. The men's confidence melted away as Nathan continued, his voice calm yet powerful. "You're banned from every restaurant I own, effective immediately. And as for your investment proposals, consider them canceled. I don't do business with men who measure worth in status and cruelty." The men stared at him, speechless. One tried to protest, but Nathan simply turned his back to them and addressed the nearest waiter. "Please escort our guests out." His tone left no room for argument. As the men gathered their belongings in awkward silence, a quiet murmur rippled through the restaurant. No one clapped yet, but everyone's eyes followed Nathan as he turned back to Emma. From his pocket, he pulled out a small envelope and handed it to her. "You've shown patience and grace in the face of disrespect," he said softly. "That's the kind of strength I want leading others. Starting tomorrow, you're promoted to floor manager. Your salary just tripled." Emma blinked in disbelief, the tears she'd been holding back finally spilling down her cheeks. "Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say," she stammered. Nathan smiled faintly. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Never let anyone make you feel small again." The room erupted in quiet applause as the three bullies left, their heads down, their laughter gone. Emma stood there, trembling, not from fear or exhaustion, but from an overwhelming sense of vindication. For the first time in years, she felt truly seen. Nathan gave her a nod before walking toward the exit, his expression unreadable yet filled with pride. As the doors closed behind him, Emma looked around the restaurant, her heart full. The humiliation of earlier had turned into strength, and her story had changed in a single evening. Proof that sometimes Justice doesn't come from anger, but from the quiet power of someone who decides to care.